my exact 8-step system that took 40 plus embedded engineers from a developer state of mind or a position to an architect or a team lead kind of position or mindset. Few people actually achieved the position also in their organization. Without further ado, let's jump into the system. You don't need months and months to actually get the knowledge that is needed to become someone who actually understands the problem and designs an embedded software. 6 months is an overkill. 15 days, you get the knowledge, expertise, you build at your own pace. So the program structure is very simple. We actually spend 15 days, 5 sessions, and the format is live sessions only. You will get the recordings, but the 3 days gap is for you to actually understand the material, the subject that has been dealt, and also experiment within those 15 days. Yes, continuous support will be there in the WhatsApp because every cohort has its own dedicated WhatsApp group. And this has come out of my years and years of experimentation failures. So the simplification doesn't mean that the things are being made easy. You still have to work. You have to work on the assigned project, and the demo project is just a representation, but it is derived from a real life use case. The outcome, I'm very clear about it. You do one real project from scratch and your design efficiency is based on the output. The more amount of thought you put in, the more will be the design that will be good enough to actually scale and handle all the requirements. So how does the first session go? Or what are the 8 steps that I am speaking about? The first session is all about problem identification or definition and the object model. If you can't define the problem, trust me, you can never solve the problem. As they say, if you can talk about the bug and define the bug, you can actually solve the bug. So we break the system into responsibilities. Everything is an object in our understanding. Objects interact with each other, and when they are interacting, each one has its own responsibilities. The first step is to sit in the problem domain very comfortably, break the things into objects, and ask ourselves what are the responsibilities. And we can also call those objects as entities when they are actually interacting, the dynamic nature, and they have their own behavior. No coding in the first session. It's all about the thought process. Then we go to the second process, which is the CRC card technique, popularly called as class responsibility collaboration, taken from the object-oriented domain, but very much adapted to our embedded domain. So we map the collaborations. Each entity during the runtime behavior, when they are talking with each other or interacting with each other, they actually collaborate. So we map what is one object trying to do when it wants to accomplish its task. It has its own responsibilities, but then it has to collaborate with another thing. So we identify the triggers and flows, because the collaborations will not trigger just like that. There has to be certain events which are internal and external. So we replace the guesswork here with a proper design. The third thing is to actually understand what is the runtime behavior. This is where your favorite while one loop or the super loop and any other thing that you can think of, cooperative multitasking, and also the real-time operating system actually comes into the picture. We decide whether we need to go with a super loop and some event mechanism or a real-time operating system. Exactly, we understand at this stage, which is the step 4. Then we create the module catalog. We are done with the responsibilities and the collaborations between objects. We also decided, okay, this has to be RTOS, or this has to be a super loop with events, and there are interrupts and all those things. Now we explicitly spell out what are all the functions, the responsibilities and the collaborations. We give them name. You may call it functions, but when I put all those things in the document for each module, it becomes like a menu card of a restaurant. So that we call it as module catalog. We are almost now inching towards developing the code. Until 5th step, or by 5th step, you actually understand the architecture and also understand the clarity with which each object is interacting with one another. We are not still in the coding because we adopt an approach called as test-driven development. So we write test cases for our requirements before we even write our code. So we write the test, that is step 6, and step 7, when we are we have the module catalog. Now we are defining, because of the test cases, we understand how each function, when it is being called by another entity or object, what are the parameters that are being passed, what are the return values, what has to be checked, all those things, and that defines the interface. So step 7, we get the interfaces. Till now it's all documentation and things in our mind, but once we have the test driven development approach adopted, we reach a place wherein we have a very good design which is having a huge amount of readability, still not the concrete implementation. Now step 8, the one that most of the people actually put it as first step, and then they struggle when something goes wrong fixing the bugs, and that is we build, which is we develop and then we ship the project. At every stage we also defend our design decisions because we are banking on our solid architecture. Now you have a portfolio ready artifact. Yes, in these 5 days we also talk about enhancing our GitHub profile and also talking about the project that we are doing in our LinkedIn. So what's the key philosophy if you want to understand? You will be learning by doing or building the project. You design before coding. Very, very important. I need to put a star mark there actually. You have a continuous feedback thanks to the test-driven development. And once you put this project or you adopt this process to your current project that you are doing in office or in your work, you are almost interview ready. You get up and you go to interview, you can crack the interview because you know the design behind the code. So this is what you get in these 15 days, 5 sessions, each session separated by 3 days in this embedded design cohort. And for this workshop or cohort, the third cohort, we are going to design a voice-enabled e-personal assistant. So let me say a few words about it. You don't have to have your phone in your pocket. The phone gets connected to your e-assistant, and the e-assistant picks up everything about you, your calendar events and everything. And it starts reminding you saying that, hey, we have a meeting at 9 a.m. or you are supposed to go to gym at 10 a.m. or 6 a.m. if somebody is an early riser. Did you drink water? Did you take your medicine? Anything and everything that you can populate in the initial version 1 in calendar, this device picks up those events and it is voice enabled and it speaks out. Like you see that Paytm and all those things, it tells you what you are supposed to do, like your own personal assistant. In fact, the enhancement is that when you say where is my phone, it sends a call to your phone and you can even identify your phone. It may not be a call or even an SMS, and you can even identify your phone if you forget it anytime. Once you are in your house, your personal assistant will take care of you very, very much as if you are its super boss. So that's in a nutshell the project that we are going to do in cohort 3. I hope you understood the whole process. See you in the session.